How's it going, everybody? This is Todd Drabo. Hope you're having another great day, and welcome back to another video. Alright, so this is going to be a little bit sensitive that I'm talking about here, but this one's going to be about dealing with hearing loss at a very young age. Now, I've been dealing with hearing loss for almost virtually my entire life, pretty much ever since I was a little kid, and this has really been continuing ever since I've turned into an adult, and really there are a combination of factors that really led to this to be happening. And so, I'm going to share with you a little bit about, a little bit of my hearing loss at a young age, how I've been dealing with it, and what I can suggest to those that are dealing with the same situation like I am. Now obviously, in life, you gotta be able to hear everything. Whenever you're trying to deal with life, you need to have a real good understanding of really what's going on in the world, and really one of the best ways to be able to do that is to really have very good hearing, so that way you can understand what people are talking about, what's in the news, or just everything that's really happening in general. But sometimes, you can just do a lot of real things that can really affect your hearing, and as a result, that can play a very major role in hearing loss at a very young age. And there were really a bunch of factors for me that ultimately led to me having hearing loss at a very young age. And this really started when I was like 8 years old. And one time actually when I was living in Union, I was actually taking a shower. And during that night, my mom actually decided to, try to give me a haircut while I was taking a shower. Now usually that is not a good idea, because whenever you're in a shower, the only thing you should be doing there is really washing your hair and making sure that you're squeaky clean. Unfortunately, there was little to no common sense in that situation. And while I was showering, she tried to give me a haircut. And as a result, both the back of my head and a little part of my left ear ended up getting cut as a result, and there was a good amount of blood that was coming out of it as well. And really the biggest damage to that was in my left ear, because that was where a large part of my hearing was really taking place. And unfortunately that got both the back of my head and my left ear infected, and as a result I had to have 2 surgeries in a span of, I think it was like 5 months as a result of that. One for the back of my head in March, and also one in my left ear in July as well of that year. And unfortunately though, that really led to the beginning of my hearing loss, not just in my left ear, but also in both my ears overall. But at the time, this really was mostly occurring within my left ear. That cut that I ended up getting on my left ear caused me to lose quite a bit of my hearing during that time, even before the surgery and even after it, because at that time, it really started to get real itchy, and as a result, it really caused me to scratch it quite a bit, and as a result, it caused quite a bit of damage to it as well. And that really led to the time that once I really got my surgery on my left ear, it resulted in me starting to lose a little bit of my hearing as a result. So lesson 1 there, do not have a haircut while you're taking a shower. Then obviously as I got older and older, the more and more things that I started listening to, the more and more that my hearing was starting to get affected. In fact, as I said before, I didn't notice a whole lot of it on my right ear because this was mostly taking place on my left ear. During my time in school, I would have to have a specialized hearing aid that would be used for me while I was there in school, so that way I would be able to hear everything that the teacher was talking about and everything that was going on in class as well. And really that was the only reason why I was even able to make it past school, obviously because of my hearing aid in my left ear, for me to be able to understand exactly what was going on. And I feel like that was really one of the main reasons why I was having trouble with hearing at such a young age during that time. As I grew older and older and older as well, I just had to keep asking a whole lot of questions or asking people to repeat themselves, because with all the hearing problems that I was dealing with, I was just not able to comprehend a whole lot of exactly what they were trying to tell me. And as a result, sometimes it really felt like that, what they were saying to me was a little mush. It was almost like speaking a little bit gibberish as a result, and because of it, it really gave me a whole bunch of problems as a result. And so unfortunately, it just felt like that it was really starting to become more of a chore just to continuously ask to figure out what was going on, because I had a lot of hearing problems on my left ear, and it really made it hard for me to be able to realize what they were trying to say. But during the back end of my college years, that's when I started to realize that it was starting to take place in both my ears as well. During the latter part of 2020, I learned through one of my physicals that I actually had a hole in my left ear, or particularly my eardrum in my left ear. And as a result, I was basically almost deaf in my left ear as a result, because of all that hole and all of that scratching and everything that had taken place over the years. It really caused me to lose almost all my hearing. And also after a checkup, I was starting to lose quite a bit of hearing in my right ear as well. And unfortunately, as a result, it really caused me to really think about how I was going to be able to recover from that, because I have lost quite a bit of hearing as a result of a couple of my injuries, as well as repeated amounts of hearing and scratching as a result. And unfortunately, that became a really big problem for me. So as a result, I had to get some hearing aids. Now, obviously, I've been wearing hearing aids ever since the summer of 2021. I've used them pretty much almost every single time I went to work since then. And, I definitely feel like that has really played a real factor in me being able to have at least some better understanding in regards to my hearing. And I definitely feel like that, for those at a young age, that's probably one of the best ways for you to be able to really understand what's going on, is to have a hearing aid on you if you are suffering from major hearing loss. And I'll be happy to actually show you one of my hearing aids here. This is one that I'm actually using for my left ear. Now, this one is actually a little bit mute, obviously, because as I mentioned before, in my left ear, I'm almost completely deaf. So obviously because of that, it makes it a lot harder for me to be able to hear. Even with this hearing aid on with my left ear, I'm mostly only able to hear through my right ear as a result. And so I have to use another hearing aid just like this one, so that way I can get a little more hearing out of my right ear. And so as a result, I'm using two hearing aids in both my ears as a result. But still, I definitely feel like that these have really played quite a bit of help in regards to having a better understanding of what's going on. But yeah, even with after that, there's still a whole bunch of precautions that you still gotta take, so that way you can at least maintain a majority part of your hearing throughout the latter part of your life. Because as you grow older, you're going to continue to rapidly lose your hearing as you age. And ultimately, once you become a senior, you're actually going to have no choice but to start wearing hearing aids as a result. Because as I said before, once you get to a certain age, it's going to become even more difficult for you to be able to hear everything. Because with age, there's also becomes a bit of health problems to go along with that as well. And hearing is definitely one of those. But yeah, it becomes a lot more chronic whenever you're having a hearing loss at a much younger age than you're supposed to. So there are really three ways that I'm willing to deal with my hearing loss at a young age. And I thought I'd share some of that with you right now. The first one, obviously, is to have some sort of hearing device with you. As I mentioned before, the hearing aids that I showed you, those are really the best ways for you to be able to continuously hear a lot better whenever you're at a young age. Because if you're having a hearing loss, chances are it's going to be very hard for you to be able to hear everything that's going on without some sort of special device. Obviously, the best way for you to do that is really go to your nearest doctor and talk to them about your hearing loss, and obviously find some recommendations in regards to like good hearing aids that you can use, like the ones that I'm using right now. Obviously, as I said before, as long as you have the right product that fits your ear and also a good amount of batteries that last you for a while, you'll be able to hear almost everything that you need to hear during a very young age, and it'll help you get by a lot better. There are some people that have also opted to have surgical repair for their hearing. There are some people that have gotten hearing aids implanted into their eardrums so that way they can be able to hear everything better. And I don't know if I'll ever do that, obviously. I think it's really going to take for me to really have much more dramatic hearing loss over the next few years of my life to actually even consider that. But, whatever method works, as long as you have some sort of good device, like some sort of hearing aid or something that allows you to hear better, it will definitely help you get by with life. The next thing you obviously have to have is to really cover your ears up very well. Like, for example, whenever I'm in the shower every night, because of the hole that I mentioned in my left ear and all of the troubles that I'm having with my hearing on my right ear, chances are if any water gets in my ears, it's going to cause a real risk of a potential infection. And that can really cause a much more dramatic hearing loss as a result if it ends up getting there, which I certainly don't want. So usually ear plugs would be the best way for you to be able to avoid having water go into your ears. So whenever you're taking a shower, if you're somebody like me, have a pair of earplugs with you, so that way it protects your ears from having any water go into it. And if you're at a loud concert, obviously it's good to have them with you as well, like because it's going to be very loud at a particular concert, or even at a sporting event where there's going to be a lot of noise and all that stuff like that. You really don't want to lose a whole lot of hearing as a result of that. So as long as you're at least still able to hear some things, as long as you have your earplugs with you there, it can help you prevent yourself from losing a whole lot more hearing at some of those events. As long as you have something like that, it can help you at least keep some of your hearing for a lot longer. But without them, it's going to cause for a much more dramatic hearing loss. And so, wherever you go, you need to find a way to be able to protect your ears. And so make sure that you're staying away from a lot of very loud things. And also, if you are going to attend them, make sure you have something to cover your ears up. Finally, and I say this with all due respect, don't get hurt, because chances are if you have some sort of real head injury, it's really going to make your hearing loss a whole lot worse. Like I said before, my incident in the shower, where I had those cuts while I was showering because of that decision to get a haircut in there, trust me, that really played a major role into the hearing loss that I'm currently experiencing right now. And so obviously, if you're going to be able to have a good amount of hearing for a large majority of your life, don't do something like that that's going to end up causing you to get a whole lot of hearing loss, because chances are it's only going to make it very hard for you to be able to get by at a very young age if you end up having something like that happen to you. And any sort of injury, as I said, that you can end up having with your head through anything, like maybe even like a car accident or something like that, or maybe you just hit something with your head and you have some sort of traumatic brain injury as a result. Any sort of thing like that can also play a role into having some sort of hearing loss. Any sort of injury like that, it's going to make it that much harder for you to be able to hear everything. So you need to be able to protect your head in situations like that, where you're doing something very dangerous, or maybe even something, that can really increase the risk of a potential head injury. So you really need to protect yourself. And also, don't scratch your ears a lot. If you're going to clean out your ears, do it with like a Q-tip or something like that, because that's really the best way for you able to get all the earwax out. And also, just, make sure that, your ears are squeaky clean. Anything that's sharp is only going to make your hearing a lot worse. It's going to cause a lot of cuts inside your ear, and as a result, it's going to make it that much more likely that you're going to end up having a ruptured eardrum, and as a result, a lot of hearing loss as a result. So don't scratch it a whole lot. Those are 3 things that I'm doing to be able to, get by with hearing loss at a young age. And for those that are suffering from hearing loss at a much younger age than they should, I definitely feel like those 3 things will help you be able to get by with life a lot easier. Trust me, nobody wants to have hearing loss at a much younger age than they should. They would rather have that with the latter part of their life. But if you're having that way too early in their life, it's really because of those factors that are causing you to have that hearing loss. So you really need to be able to protect your head and your ears, and really take all the necessary precautions possible, so that way you do not have hearing loss at such a young age. Trust me, without those hearing aids, it would have been a lot harder for me to be able to get by with hearing loss at a very young age. And I will tell you that even as I get older, I know that it's only going to continue to get worse. And so obviously at some point, I know that I'm going to need to take more necessary precautions to be able to maintain the hearing that I currently have right now. So for those that are suffering the same thing like that I am, just follow those necessary steps, and maybe take a few extra steps as well. And for as long as you're still able to hear everything, trust me, you'll be able to get by life a lot easier. Alright, so that's just how I've been dealing with hearing loss at a very young age. And so I really like to hear from you. If you are suffering from hearing loss at a young age like I have, what have you been doing to be able to maintain the hearing that you have right now? Is there something different that I didn't mention in this video that is allowing you to be able to keep all the hearing that you have? I would definitely be very interested in trying that out at some point. So, feel free to let me know down in the comments below, and I'll be more interested in hearing about it. Anyways, that's going to do it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed it. As always, if you'd like to see more of my content, be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you know when my latest video is released. Comment below for future suggestions for all my videos, whether it's blogs, projects, or challenges, you name it, leave it in the comments below and I'll do my best to make them. As always, follow me on my social media, all links are in the description below. That's going to do it for this video. I hope you're having another great day. As always, I hope to see all of you again in another video very soon. So long, everybody.